Radio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the tackle?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers and Angels pulled out close wins in the 10th inning last night. The Dodgers got a walk-off double from Freddie Freeman in the 10th to beat the New York Mets 6-5. The Angels held on for a 4-3 win at Boston. The Angels are a game above 500 on the road. Coco Gauff defeated Madison Keys in 3 sets to advance to the French Open semifinals for the 3rd time in her career. The 21-year-old African-American tennis star is aiming for her first French Open title. She finished second in 2022. The French Open semifinals are Thursday. Entertainment mogul Byron Allen is giving a boost to the HBCU Las Vegas Football Classic featuring Grambling and Jackson State. Allen has agreed to use one of his media properties, HBCU Go TV, to broadcast and stream the game live. Grambling and Jackson State play in Vegas on Saturday, October 25th at Allegiant Stadium, home of the NFL Las Vegas Raiders. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
LA's newest soul food restaurant is getting spectacular reviews.
Great place with amazing food. The Sunday champagne brunch is fabulous. I saw the place on IG. We tried it for lunch. We were blown away by the food and the service. The restaurant has an inviting atmosphere and a dynamic vibe.
Over the years, Lionel has catered most major Black events in Los Angeles, including all of our KBLA Talk 1580 gatherings. But now he has his own spot, Lionel's Soul Food Cuisine, and you need to check it out at 8501 South Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles. Oxtails, baked or fried chicken, meatloaf, turkey chops, pork chops, catfish, short ribs, and all the fixins. Collard greens, mac and cheese, yams, red beans, black-eyed peas, and more. And of course, hot water cornbread, satisfying drinks, and delicious desserts. Lionel's is a great place for brunch, lunch, or dinner. If it's good enough for us, it's good enough for you, because we've got your black. So, head on over to Lionel's Soul Food Cuisine at 8501 South Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles and tell Lionel you heard about it on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Tavis, Smiley. Delighted to have you with us in this hour of our program. We are celebrating June, Black Music Month, every day on this program. And every day we choose a different artist in residence. We can put it that way. And we play the best of their music in and out of these conversations. These amazing conversations, all 3 hours of our show. Today, because it happens to be the 64th birthday of one Eldra, El DeBarge. It's El and the best of the DeBarge family, all 3 hours in and out of these great conversations. As I said, on our program today, we'll see who tomorrow brings us, but every day during the month of June that we are live on the air, we're celebrating June as Black Music Month, and we'll hit all the genres of black music, but I can't imagine my life without DeBarge and that DeBarge family. Switch and all of them on my soundtrack. So happy birthday, El DeBarge, on your 64th natal day. In this hour, actor and economic justice advocate Erika Alexander and Saru Jayaraman, president of One Fair Wage, take us inside this week's launch of the national campaign Living Wage for All. Saru, how are you today? Good to have you on the program.
I'm very good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you. Erika, it's been too long. How are you?
Tavis, it's been too long, brother. You're still out here doing the good fight, all this. Come on, in DeBarge, I feel good today.
Can I just tell you, first of all, that I have not talked to you or seen you since the movie, and the name is blank. I'm blanking right quick. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, thank you. Can I just say? Let me just give me a second here.
Okay.
I thought the movie, of course, was amazing. I've told Jeffrey this 1,000 times. I thought the movie was absolutely phenomenal. I thought it was amazing. The cast was brilliant, and I thought you were absolutely spectacular. And I've not seen you to tell you that, but you killed that thing in American Fiction.
Thank you, Tavis. I mean, it means everything to me because you've seen everything. You've been around, you've been in this business, and you know how long I've labored to get that type of role.
Yeah.
And I'm always be grateful to Cord Jefferson for seeing me in that position and putting me next to the great Jeffrey Wright and Sterling K. Brown. It really was a fantastic thing that lifted my career in so many ways.
Yeah. Tell me, just we got a whole hour, so we're gonna get to this money thing, this living wage in a second here. But just reflect on what it meant to play that role and inhabiting that particular space.
Well, I got asked to do it in a beautiful way. I think here lately, because, I've been in the business 40 years now, 42 years.
Wow.
And yeah, so a lot of the people who saw me growing up have grown up and now have gained favor and power, and they are requesting me. And he wrote me a beautiful letter, Cord Jefferson, the writer-director.
Right.
He had been doing things inside of, showbiz for a while, had an Emmy for his time with Watchmen. And he said, he told me about the role and why he thought I should play it and invited me to play it. And I thought that was such a beautiful invitation because when people want you and they invite you, you got to go where you're invited. But also, it's kind of like he knew what I could do. And I didn't have to convince him. There wasn't no him and hawing. So frankly, you go in that door knowing that he wanted me to do my best work, but also that he created in his mind a space for me. And that right there was everything, because by the time I got to Boston, which is where we filmed it, we only had 25 days to film it, which was similar to Get Out when Jordan Peele asked me and invited me to do the role I did in there. But you don't have time to sort of have any small talk. You just get thrown in, and he's a new director, so he's got lots on his mind. But he invited his cast, so that's what it felt like. It felt like an invitation to a great Thanksgiving dinner that I had a seat at the table already.
One final question here. I had not calculated your thespian journey at 40 years, but since you went there, before I get to the living wage conversation, I assume that every time I turn on TV, I see Living Single somewhere. So I assume that new audiences, younger folk, are discovering you from that series.
For sure.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. And in fact, we're doing a podcast called Reliving Single right now. It's on Heartbeat. We're building that with Kevin Hart and doing it with Kim Coles. And it was the 30th anniversary of Living Single in, 2003. And because of the writer's strike, we couldn't do anything with Warner Brothers. And I said, that has sucky timing because, frankly, Warner Brothers and the studio had not really done much with the IP, so we were looking forward to that. So now we're doing this, and that's a good thing. So it's 30 years, and this is a love letter to the fans for all the young people who have now found it. To your point, we're grateful because that's what's kept it evergreen. And I'll always be grateful, of course, to that role, the Maxine Shaw attorney at
Oh,
law,
yeah.
because I'm walking around with her face, so she tells me.
Forget Raymond. Everybody loves Erika Alexander. And she's done some amazing work on stage, on the big screen, on the small screens. I just didn't want to jump too fast into this living wage conversation without giving her props. 40 plus years in the business and counting, still doing amazing work. And like you, I loved her in Get Out. I loved her in American Fiction. And I just wanted to start the conversation by acknowledging her brilliance as a thespian. When we come forward for the rest of the hour, we're going to talk to Erika and Saru Jayaraman about this living wage for all campaign. So you know Erika as an actress, but I bet you didn't know she's an economic justice advocate. So we're going to spend the rest of the hour talking about living wage for all. You're listening, and I'm glad about it, to Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least liked to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
KBLA Talk 1580 congratulates Pastor and Mrs. William Sachs Epps on their retirement from stewardship at the historic Second Baptist Church. Dr. Epps has faithfully served Second Baptist as its senior pastor for 37 years. What a legacy of love and leadership. Pastor and Mrs. Epps will be honored at a luncheon on Saturday, July 26, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Sheraton Universal Hotel in Universal City, and you're invited to attend. Noted scholar Dr. Michael Eric Dyson is the keynote speaker. For ticket information, please contact epsretirement@gmail.com or call 213-399-2103. That's epsretirement@gmail.com or call 213-399-2103. To Pastor Epps and First Lady Epps, congratulations from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
Celebrating June as Black Music Month every day on this program. And so today, again, it's the best of DeBarge. In and out of these amazing conversations. Some great guests on this program today, including in this hour, Saru Jayaraman and Erika Alexander, talking in this hour about one fair wage. Before I jump straight away into this conversation, let me give you some sound. This is what this campaign sounds like and looks like specifically in New York City.
hardest part about the job is definitely the pay. It's never guaranteed.
That's what we depend on is our tips. That's what feeds me, that's what feeds my family.
You get a sub-minimum hourly wage. I, for years, thought that was really connected.
Okay, my computer froze. Our computer froze. So we'll try to cue that back up again. I wouldn't wanted you to hear that sound. But it's live radio, and that happens sometimes when there's a tech issue. So we press forward. Saru, good to have you on this program. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Let me just start with you and ask you to give us a sense of the genesis of this campaign. This audience knows I say it all the time. I love the backstory. We'll get to the details here as we move through this hour. But give me the backstory of this One Fair Wage campaign.
Yeah, well, I started organizing restaurant workers after 9/11 together with workers from Windows on the World, which was the restaurant at the top of the World Trade Center, Tower One. After the tragedy in New York, about 13,000 restaurant workers lost their jobs. And we started organizing restaurant workers and hearing from workers all over the country that their top priority was their wages.
Mm-hmm.
And the more we looked into both the conditions and the data and then the history, it really shocked us. Turns out that the restaurant industry is right now the largest and fastest growing private sector employer in the United States, but it's also the absolute lowest paying because of an ugly legacy of slavery. Prior to emancipation, waiters in the US were paid an actual full wage. They were white men, they got wages, no tips. They went on strike for higher wages in 1853, and 10 years later, when emancipation happened, 1865, people found out about emancipation. Workers started moving up north, and the restaurant industry was looking for cheaper labor. They didn't want to pay the workers more who went on strike. So they started hiring newly freed Black women. There were two industries that did this: the Pullman trains hiring Black men, the restaurants hiring Black women, both telling these workers, you're not going to get a wage, you're going to live on tips from customers. And in the case of the restaurant industry, an entity was formed called the National Restaurant Association that fought to ensure that these workers, these Black women who were the majority of tipped workers at the time, never got a wage. And we went from $0 at that time all the way up to $2.13 an hour, which is the current federal minimum wage for tipped workers in the United States of America. Now, there are 7 states like California that got rid of this sub-minimum wage for tipped workers many decades ago. But as we've grown, we've begun to learn of other sub-minimum wages. There's a sub-minimum wage for incarcerated workers. That's another legacy of slavery, the exception to the 13th Amendment that allows for slavery in the case of incarceration, which we, of course, were exposed to with the LA wildfires, since a third of the firefighters in California are incarcerated people paid 11 cents an hour to save our lives.
Yeah.
So our fight has grown over the last, many years to say, we actually need a minimum wage that meets the cost of living with absolutely no exceptions, not tipped workers, not incarcerated workers, not workers with disabilities. Like, all of these legacies of slavery in our economy must end. Everybody, regardless of their status or who they are or how they work, deserves to get a living wage from their employer.
I wonder. That's a mouthful, and I'm glad that I didn't know that answer was forthcoming. But I'm glad I asked that question, because it sets me in the frame that I need to be in for the rest of this hour. Let me do this first, Saru. That was an amazing history lesson. I don't think that many people realize that these low wages that are still paid to restaurant workers and beyond are vestiges of slavery. I wonder how it might change our perception, more to the point, how it might change the conversation if people made that connection as you just did, Saru.
I wonder too. I've been very heartened by the fact that when most of the public, frankly, regardless of their political leanings, learns the history, they're shocked, they're horrified. And most people in America, history or no history, believe, including, believe it or not, even MAGA folks believe people who work, anybody who works, deserves to be paid a full living wage from their employer. I've been disheartened to find that legislators, even legislators of color, even when they hear this history, don't seem to be able to revoke themselves from the yoke of their corporate donors, and especially the Restaurant Association, and stand with us to ensure these workers get an actual wage with tips on top.
How powerful, when we think about powerful lobbies in Washington, the Restaurant Association is not the first that comes to mind. We think of certainly NRA. We may even think of AARP. The Restaurant Association doesn't come to mind, I think, for most of us as one of the powerful lobbies in Washington. But unpack that for me a bit more.
It's so true. We call it the other NRA because we've been trying to tell people every year this group gets ranked one of the top 10 most powerful lobbies in Congress. They are the only, think about it, they're the only industry that gets away with paying $2 an hour, a sub minimum wage. It's ridiculous because they are so powerful. They have so much control over both Congress and so many state legislatures. So much so that during the pandemic, they were one of the few industries to get billions of dollars in relief, mostly for the corporate chains that lead the other NRA. And so, yeah, they are silent but deadly. They are not as well known as the other lobbies, but, and in part, it's because we all eat out. We all enjoy eating at all of these restaurants. We don't know that they are behind some of the most profoundly evil things that exist in our economy.
Yep. We started this conversation with you, Saru, talking about the history rather, of these low wages when it comes to restaurant workers in particular, being rooted, of course, in slavery, in segregation, in Jim Crow, in Jane Crow. But I wonder these days if there is a profile of the kind of worker that is being subjected to these low wages. If there is a profile, what is that profile?
Unfortunately, minimum wage workers today still are disproportionately women of color. They still are disproportionately Black and brown women working in IHOP and Denny's. We have the highest rate of single mothers of any occupation working in restaurants. They are parents often. They are trying to feed their children. And especially with these horrific Medicaid and food stamps cuts, they are the hardest hit. Restaurant workers use Medicaid at food stamps at double the rate of all other workers, because they are the lowest paid workers in America. And so they rely on public assistance to survive. So we have to understand when we eat out, we're subsidizing restaurants in multiple ways. We're paying for workers' wages through our tips, and we're subsidizing their survival through our taxes because we let these employers, these large corporations, multi-billion-dollar corporations, get away with not paying their people enough to survive.
How is this assault? You went there. I want to follow you. How is this assault currently being waged on Medicaid going to impact these low-wage workers?
It's not just going to impact low wage workers, Tavis. It's going to impact every one of us that eats out because these workers, as I said, rely on Medicaid for their health and their family's health at double the rate of other workers. A lot of the Medicaid that these workers got was extended to them during the pandemic because we understood as a nation that people who serve us food, it's very dangerous to keep them from keep healthcare away from them. Like if they do not have access to healthcare, it impacts the public health. I mean, restaurants during the pandemic were named the absolute most dangerous place to be by the CDC, and UCSF named them the most dangerous place to work. It is because restaurants are super spreaders. We go, we eat. People are bringing us their food. They are hovering over our table. They are cooking the food. They're bringing it to our table. You do not want these folks not to have access to healthcare, but that is exactly what is about to happen. Millions of workers are about to lose their ability to feed their families and their ability to take care of their own health and their family's health, which means that every one of us that eats out is at risk.
I want to pull Erika back in here in this conversation in just a second. And before I do that, though, Saru, one other question for you right quick. I could have commenced our conversation with this question, but for those listening right now who are curious, as am I, how we're defining a living wage these days, define it for me.
I'm so glad you asked because everybody in the country should go to on your phone or on your computer and look up MIT living wage calculator. The folks at MIT have taken the time for every county, every state, every county in the United States to tell you the minimum you would need to survive, just basics, food, housing, transportation to survive, whether you have children or you don't have children. Well, the cheapest county in the United States turns out is McClellan County, Texas. And even in McClellan County, Texas, right now, it would take a minimum of $19.50 for a single person with no children just to cover rent, transportation, and food. That's not if you have children. If you have children, it's much higher than $25 an hour. So that is what I call a minimum wage that meets the cost of living, not even thriving or buying your children Christmas gifts or taking them to Disneyland, just survival. Just being able to meet the cost of living. At this point, there's no place in the country where that's less than $20 an hour.
Erika, we know you as a fine actor, and again, big screen, small screen, stage. But tell me about your journey to becoming an economic justice advocate.
Well, listen, you hear Saru Jayaraman, who is to me the Martin Luther King of this discussion. I mean, she's done so much, and she's such a great messenger and vessel for this. But for me, justice doesn't end when the credit rolls. My work as a storyteller has certainly been rooted in truth. The truth is the tipped workers, especially women of color, are being systemically shortchanged. So Saru is one of the few people who are not only brave enough to call it up, to build policy, to organize people on the ground, obviously coalitions, that type of thing. And I love people who are doing the right thing for the right purpose at the right time. So I joined her because the fight for fair wage is a civil rights issue. And I believe in standing on the side of the people who keep this country running, like her and Reverend Barber and all these people that I admire and have mentored me.
Yeah. When you say you see it as a civil rights issue, unpack that for me, Erika.
Well, I mean, she's told us where it's come from. If this system was built during slavery and it's serving the same purpose as slavery, which was keeping people working for less, especially if they're women and immigrants and black and brown. So it's hard to dismantle because it's an vested interest in cheap labor and frankly keeping certain people desperate. But desperation ain't a business model.
Yeah.
Dignity is. And you can't get dignity without your rights, your civil rights.
Yeah. What does this fight, Erika, say to you in particular about the ways in which, and I say ways plural, the ways in which this country has always maltreated, disenfranchised women of color, black women in particular?
Well, it's sorry to say, but it's the soul of this country. It has to reckon with that. Because when you pay people poverty wages, you're telling them they don't matter. And we know who these people are. They're mostly women, mostly people of color. And we can't talk about equity or DEI or any sorts of justice if we're not talking about pay. It's the foundation of freedom. So I think if you really want to show women and the most vulnerable people that they matter, then you have to show them by showing this is an expression of value, and that's what's tied up in this. So that's what this is.
Yeah. Saru, I was honored some years ago. I've written a number of books, but one of those books, one of my favorite books, is a book called The Rich and the Rest of Us, which I co-authored with my friend and brother Cornel West. And in that book, The Rich and the Rest of Us, we tried to make the point that you can't just talk about poverty in a silo. You have to link poverty to economic immobility. You have to link that to economic exploitation. So it's not just a conversation about poverty. You have to link all these issues up. Say a word about the link between these low wages and economic immobility.
Well, thank you for writing that book. Really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, the sad truth is, let's begin with, the intent. The intent at emancipation. The intent was for these large corporations that eventually developed to be able to access free Black labor after chattel slavery ended. And that intent has never gone away, sadly, Tavis. Like the intent of the other NRA and the corporations that lead it is that they should be able to access labor for $2.13 an hour, and that they shouldn't have to pay for it because, we, the consumers, are paying for it. And what does that do to the workers? Well, when you get $2 or $3 or $4, as it is in most states in the United States, 43 states have a sub-minimum wage for tipped workers, and about 30 of them, it's under $5 an hour.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the largest employer of women, the largest employer of people of color, the largest employer of immigrants, getting to pay under $5 an hour in most of the country. When you get a wage that low, it goes entirely to taxes. You live completely off tips, which makes you so vulnerable to racial harassment, sexual harassment, biases, discrimination, and just general abuse from customers. And honestly, depending on whether they honestly are racist or biased or sexist or, want to sexually harass you or just had a bad day, all of that impacts your ability to feed your family and your ability to move up, do anything else, go to school, be able to move up even in the restaurant industry. You can't do it. What you end up having to do is work 2 and 3 jobs. That is what most of our folks end up doing, work 2 and 3 jobs. And not only does that mean when you're working 2 and 3 jobs, not only does that mean you don't get to spend time with your children. So you don't get to ensure their education is going well and they can move up and they can attain what they want to do. You don't get to spend that time. You don't get to spend time with your family. You don't get to ensure that you can get your family the things they need to have a stable livelihood, which is necessary for mobility.
Hold on. I'm looking at this clock. I'm sorry, Saru. I got to jump in right quick. I want you to continue that point when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Federal immigration agents are now wearing masks to hide their identities amid rising threats. Texas Congresswoman Beth Van Dyne blames Democrats for inciting anger.
You've got these citizens now who are fighting against these people who are only there to do their job. I think it's horrific what's happening right now, but it's being encouraged by a lot of Democrat elected officials.
One man was arrested for threatening to open fire on agents in his neighborhood. A Black History mural in Miami, Florida's Overtown was defaced with swastikas and slurs. Community members are rallying to restore it, calling the act part of a disturbing trend of racist vandalism. And a Black woman is making history. Shamita Jones-Harrell is officially Austell, Georgia's first female police chief and the first in Cobb County. Sworn in Tuesday, she plans to boost female recruitment, build community trust, and earn state accreditation for the department. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the title?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers and Angels pulled out close wins in the 10th inning last night. The Dodgers got a walk-off double from Freddie Freeman in the 10th to beat the New York Mets 6-5. The Angels held on for a 4-3 win at Boston. The Angels are a game above 500 on the road. Coco Gauff defeated Madison Keys in 3 sets to advance to the French Open semifinals for the 3rd time in her career. The 21-year-old African-American tennis star is aiming for her first French Open title. She finished second in 2022. The French Open semifinals are Thursday. Entertainment mogul Byron Allen is giving a boost to the HBCU Las Vegas Football Classic featuring Grambling and Jackson State. Allen has agreed to use one of his media properties, HBCU Go TV, to broadcast and stream the game live. Grambling and Jackson State play in Vegas on Saturday, October 25th at Allegiant Stadium, home of the NFL Las Vegas Raiders. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You ready?
Somebody make some noise in this joint.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast.
Oh my God!
But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say. Let's do this.
Let's get it on! On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the 2nd consecutive year with our Climate Justice Plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, call the bomb.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There will be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts will be there.
Yeah, man.
Flip the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are 2 big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is resilience in the face of chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DePrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
Love you. Love you.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
We continue our conversation now with Erika Alexander and Saru Jayaraman talking about one fair wage. Saru, you were up against the clock. We were up against the clock moments ago, but you were making a powerful point. I want you to finish before I press forward about what happens when these low-wage workers have to work 2 or 3 jobs, and it forces them, of course, away from their families.
That's right. Yeah, if you work 2 and 3 jobs, you don't have time. You don't have no time to spend with your family, with your kids, worrying about their education. Do they have everything they need? Are they in a stable environment? Are they around people that are going to help them succeed? You have no time to do any of that. You don't have time to spend with your family at all, let alone your kids. You also don't have any time for yourself to think about, what do I want? Do I want to move up in the restaurant industry? Do I want to go to school? Do I want to do other things? There's no opportunity to think about mobility if you are worrying about survival, feeding yourself and your family. And then I do want to say this has implications not just for children and for the workers themselves, but for our democracy. What happens when millions of people work 2 and 3 jobs and honestly do not see the benefits of the political system in terms of their pay going up? Let's be real, Tavis. The wage for tipped workers has been stuck at $2.13 for over 30 years. So for a single mom in, let's say, Michigan or Pennsylvania, where it's $2.83, you have not seen any administration, Democratic or Republican, raise that wage. Does it make sense for you to take time out of one of your 3 jobs, probably be penalized for doing so, to go vote or engage politically when you've not seen either political party deliver for you? I think it has implications for all of us.
No, I mentioned earlier that text, "The Rich and the Rest of Us," that I was honored to co-author with my friend and brother Cornel West. And we make the point again in the book that you can't just talk about poverty. You got to talk about poverty, economic immobility, and income inequality. All three of those things are inextricably linked together. But we also make the point that Saru's making now. We just put it this way: poverty is a threat to our democracy. Hands down. Poverty is a threat to this very democracy, or as Gandhi once put it, poverty is the worst kind of violence. And so these conversations for me are as real as rain. So my grandmother, Saru, Big Mama, used to always say to me, Tavis, when you know better, you got to do better. When you know better, you got to do better. I wonder if we, the demos now, I wonder if the demos, we everyday people, our fellow citizens, would do better by these workers if we knew better. Part of what you and Erika Alexander are doing is putting us in the know. So when we know better as Americans, do we do better?
Erika, do you want to go at that first?
You go at that first.
I feel like most of America, again, regardless of political leaning, does know this in their bones. I feel like most of America, look, minimum wage increases have passed in red and blue states, in the South, in the Midwest, all over the country, pretty much every year. People generally agree across the political spectrum that when you work, you deserve to be paid. The sad truth is that it is now we say oligarchs, the people in power that I do think know better in many cases. Maybe some of them don't know better, but I do think they know better. They just want to maintain the system because it benefits them. And I just want to give the example of last year's election. Last year's election, I frankly begged the campaign, please talk about raising wages. Please talk about ending the sub-minimum wage for tipped workers. It will mobilize workers on our side to turn out to vote for democracy, to vote against fascism. And the answer was no. And then this guy comes along and says, no tax on tips. And it is not that restaurant workers broadly across the country were like, oh, that's it. That's the panacea, because 2/3 of tipped workers do not even earn enough to pay federal income tax.
Yeah.
They don't even earn enough to be eligible to pay taxes. So it's not that they saw that as a panacea or that this guy was giving them the thing they needed, but they did feel seen and heard, and that they're an important population to pander to. When that happened, I went to the Democrats. I said, please pander, please just pander.
Why did the Democrats tell you no?
I think that we have to look at who are donors to Democrats and Republicans. The National Restaurant Association and restaurants in general are major donors to Democrats, and they didn't want to they didn't want to anger their donors. I mean, frankly, some elected officials from both parties are restaurant owners themselves, and that makes it hard.
Yeah.
I think generally you don't see a lot of elected officials you see some, but not a lot that are willing to stand up to the donors and the corporate class and stand up for working people, even though the overwhelming majority of voters agree that this is what we need.
So, Erika, I ain't letting you off the hook. I saw you pass that off to Saru. I'm giving you something. you gonna get some of this too.
Okay.
And here's the approach I want to have with you. And I'm just gonna put our business out there because Erika and all the rest of y'all listening right now across the country, I'm speaking truth. There are many of us in Black America, and it's not just us, but we've had to have conversations with our friends about not, you know where I'm going, Erika, about not being so stingy when it comes to these tips. So when I asked that question a moment ago, when we know better, do we do better? And Saru suggested she thinks we all know better. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. But I think we're still in this phase of having a conversation with certain communities, certain people about not being so stingy on these tips, because we don't connect that to the fact that these people are being forced to live off of those tips, Erika.
Yeah, it's a loaded thing, because you asked whether Americans were responsible or knew better or that type of thing. Let's be clear. This is an economic issue for sure, but it's a moral one.
That's right.
And a nation that can claim to value hard work cannot, in good conscience, build an economy on the backs of these underpaid laborers. when the majority of them are women and immigrants and people of color. And we ask these people to serve. They got to hustle. They got to hold it together for $2.13 an hour and then tell them to be grateful for the tip. That's not unfair. That's inhumane. It's unjust. And so if that business model, again, depends on underpaying people, it's broken. And we have the resources to do better. But do we have the resource within us to be more of a moral person? America is complicit, and we like to think of ourselves as this great land of opportunity. But the truth is, we built the opportunity on the exploitation of others, and we're still doing it. And if this is a holdover from slavery, and we are paying people $2 and in many states, $2.13 an hour, you're participating in a system that was designed to devalue their labor and their life. So I understand the point is if you don't tip, you feel like you're undergirding a system that's broken and it's allowing it to go further. And yet if we don't do the work to get rid of that system, then if you're not doing that, then you're asking these people to work as your slave.
Yeah. Wow.
That's moral.
Wow.
That's what's at stake.
No, I get it. When we come forward, I want to ask Saru directly how low-wage workers are, in fact, going to fare or not in this iteration of the Trump administration. And I want to talk about how, in fact, we do mobilize and organize low-wage workers at a time such as this. More with Erika and Saru when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From Lamert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone, and should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
BET and PBS, the Tom Joyner Morning Show, and NPR, the cover of Jet and the cover of Time. #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list, 20 honorary doctorate degrees, a dozen NAACP Image Awards, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. From talk shows to talk radio, nobody's ever done it better. You like that? This is Tavis Smiley.
Progressive knows owning a home can be hard, but not always. Like when you're relaxing on your patio, enjoying a nice, quiet evening. So quiet. Except for the sound of the neighbor's party. Which you said you'd go to if you weren't busy. And your quiet night on the patio, that's not exactly busy, is it? Maybe you should just stay inside. At least Progressive's Home Quote Explorer lets you easily compare rates, so shopping for insurance is the easiest part of owning a home. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
So, Saru, how are low-wage workers going to fare in Trump 2.0? And how, in a moment like this, do we organize and mobilize low-wage workers?
Things are getting much worse for sure. I mean, things were never where they needed to be, Tavis. Let's be honest. Since the creation of this wage structure, since emancipation, it's not like things have been where they needed to be, but things are about to get much worse with so many millions of workers losing Medicaid and food stamps, with restaurants being ground zero for immigration raids. Families are being separated. Jobs are, workers don't have the ability to go to work if they're afraid of what might happen to them when they go. And a lot of protections that existed for workers under a functional US Department of Labor are going away. So, for example, under the last Trump administration, Trump tried to make tips the property of owners rather than workers. And the right realized it went too far. And in a very weird moment, we ended up working with Mitch McConnell at the time to get a bill passed in Congress saying tips are the property of workers now and forever. But the enforcement of that rule, that employers can't take your tips and employers have to ensure that you get the minimum wage either through tips or by them paying you the minimum wage, all of those rules are being taken away. And the National Restaurant Association, the day after he was elected, put out a press statement of how thrilled they are to work with him to roll back all of the protections of the Biden era for these workers so that there is no recourse. If you don't get paid properly, who are you going to go to? I mean, Trump is a card-carrying member of the National Restaurant Association. So for sure, things are going to get worse. I just think that in this moment, there is also an opportunity, believe it or not. I think that workers have been fed up and are so fed up with the cost of living. I think many were, stayed home because they didn't hear what they needed or wanted from either party. And so I think in this moment, things are going to get worse. The cost of living, which was named the top issue for working people of all demographics last year's election, this year, I think it's only going to get worse. And so I do think there's an opportunity right now for all of us to come together and say, you know what? Our instinct sometimes is to defend what we had, but what we had was never good enough. It was never actually what we needed. And so sometimes we have to take a page from the right. Tavis, they never sat around and just did defense or just did the same old, same old. They wrote a radical plan called Project 2025, and they're going after it. And it's time for us to put out what we really need. We've never needed, honestly, 15 or 17 or 18. I told you that the cheapest county in the country, people need $20 an hour. The MIT living wage calculator for LA County for a single person with no children is closer to $29 an hour. We need to be fighting for what we actually need right now. And I think there's an opportunity for workers to fight, to come together around that.
And this program is syndicated, so we're heard in markets all across the country. But since you mentioned LA, where I sit right now, where this program emanates live from every day, LA last month, May, just days ago, the city council here passed the U.S.'s highest minimum wage as labor prepares for the 2028 Olympics coming to Los Angeles. City council passed a law requiring hotel staff and airport catering industry workers to be paid at least $30 per hour. When we come forward, I want to ask Saru and Erika, before we wrap this conversation, about the way these increases, to the extent they are advancing in municipalities and not at the federal level. Kind of reminds me of the reparations conversation, right? So you're getting reparations advancement in certain cities and even in certain states, but not at the federal level per se. And it seems to me that this wage issue is rolling out the same way, where there are cities that are taking it seriously, but not the federal government. What's that all about? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada. Member FDIC.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
It's never too early to start talking about money in realistic ways with your kids. JP Morgan Chase navigates how to educate your kids now about creating long-lasting, healthy money habits. Whether your kids are in elementary school, high school, or college, now is a great time to start a conversation about ways to create healthy money habits as they grow, ultimately benefiting their financial future. Talking about money in a realistic way to support your kids' lifestyle and dreams, your first banking account geared towards high school or college. It's never too early. Explaining the basics, what you earn and what you spend, building financial confidence starts with getting organized. Learning and practicing vital money skills now will stay with them for life. Tools they will have to stay on top of their finances and achieve their goals. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed for just 3 more minutes here with Erika Alexander and Saru Jayaraman. Saru, let me ask you right quick, again, as my time is getting tight here, whether or not my assessment is right that we're seeing advancement in municipalities, even though we don't see it at the federal level when it comes to a living wage.
Absolutely, but I do think all of this exciting momentum at the state and local level around a living wage for all, which we kicked off on Monday, is going to ultimately build towards our ability to win a federal living wage for all. That's how movements are created. So we're excited, and we invite everybody to join with us.
Here's my exit question. I go to you first, Saru. We'll give Erika the last word. And the question is simply this. In a moment like this, when you're fighting an uphill battle, how, Saru, do you sustain your hope?
I feel like people around the country are looking for proactive, positive, bold, progressive vision and action. And so I'm hopeful around our ability to put forward what people really have needed all along, a living wage for all. I'm very hopeful about workers coming together around that banner and us being able to use that to save democracy.
Erika, how do you sustain your hope in a moment such as this? Erika, is your mute button on? Maybe you check your button. I can't hear you. Maybe you got your mute button on from the.
Forgive me. I was coughing.
No, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think of the women that are affected, the moms that work 3 jobs, the people, the men that can't take care of their family the way they need to. And we told the story of John Lewis with Color Farm Media. We did the big payback about reparations. It told the story of the first funded. Movement. It was a reparations bill for the citizens of Evanston. And we told Tamika's story, finding Tamika, and said her life matters. And it started to say that Black women's lives matter. And we're supporting Saru and One Fair Wage to say your labor matters. You deserve to be paid for it. Why? Because my mother was one of those people. My parents were I'm a child of 2 orphans from up in the mountains of Arizona, and they worked many jobs and had many degrees and could not do what they need to do for their family because they were undervalued and underpaid. It has to stop.
We celebrate and support, for that matter, this week's launch of a National Living Wage for All campaign. We've been delighted in this hour to have been empowered by Saru Jayaraman, president of One Fair Wage, and also to be joined once again, one more again, with our friend and our sister Erika Alexander, actor and economic justice advocate in her own right. Erika, always a delight to talk to you. Thank you for your time today.
Love you, Tavis. Love everything you do, why you do it. You're so good, and thank you for bringing these up, not just when the campaign comes, but you're always there with your voice and your brilliance.
Well, you know, I love you back, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. I just love you. And Saru, good to have you on this program. Thank you for your work and your witness. We deeply appreciate you.
Thank you.
Good to have you both on. Just like that, 3 hours gone. Back here tomorrow, Lord willing, to do it all over again. Until tomorrow, thanks for tuning in to Tavis Smiley. And as always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Federal immigration agents are now wearing masks to hide their identities amid rising threats. Texas Congresswoman Beth Van Dyne blames Democrats for inciting anger.
You've got these citizens now who are fighting against these people who are only there to do their job.